How's it going, everybody? Leo Canella here with today's Seven Figures Club podcast. In today's episode, we're going to break down, unpack the importance of creating a meaningful product and service that changes people's lives and how that is one of the massive keys to creating a seven figures business and joining that Seven Figures Club that only 10% of businesses ever join in this country. We're going to take a look at how Steve Jobs created breathtaking products with his enormous focus on precision and simplicity and clean looks and so forth. And we're going to talk about the keys to creating your own amazing products and services. So let's get going. There are over 32 million businesses in the U.S. and over 90% of them will never break seven figures in annual sales. So how do we as entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs break into that seven figures club? This podcast will relentlessly share the secrets, strategies, and tactics I've used to create 3 multi-seven figures businesses and bring in even more successful entrepreneurs than me to share their inspirational stories and tactics to success. You can create your dream business and life right now. So buckle up and let's go. All right. Hope you guys are having a magical holiday season and getting ready to make 2021 your breakthrough year. The successful people have already, got a very well mapped out plan for dominating in 2021. I know that our team has been meeting and our partners and putting together a vision for 2021 to dominate and to make it a massively successful year. And the funny thing is, you can always expect the unexpected to take place. Clearly, that is what happened in 2020. The unexpected took place with a pandemic, epidemic, the likes of which we have not seen probably in any of our lifetimes, unless you were around for Spanish flu in 1918. And probably you were not, you'd be 102 years old. So that said, when you create these business plans and so forth, there's got to be flexibility. You've got to revisit them on a monthly, weekly, even a daily basis. But when you do have that vision that you're working towards, and each decision you make on a daily, weekly, monthly basis is taking you closer to accomplishing that, then that, my friends, is a magical thing. Yesterday, I took my 2 boys snowboarding on a Monday. I know, crazy to be not working on a Monday. I usually work, I work 7 days a week. I'm not going to lie. I work 7 days a week, and, my wife doesn't understand why I do a lot of the time, but that's what it takes to create successful multi-seven-figure businesses that at some point, you have enough delegation, you have enough systems and processes, and then you can, maybe not have to work quite so often. But even so, it's not like I'm killing myself. I still spend a lot of the time, with my kids, take time off on a Monday to go snowboarding, come home, work a couple hours. It's really just a matter, I think, of replacing the free time we have where we're spending it with TV and streaming stuff that doesn't necessarily matter, to moving it over to working on your business and still penciling out that time for your family, children, spouse, husband, wife, partner, etc., etc. So today really wanted to dig deep into one of the keys to joining the Seven Figures Club, to getting in the top 5-10% of business owners in this country, in the world. And one of those keys is creating a great product and service, and a product and service that is so good that you're going to be around for the long run, right? There are people that can create a seven figures business because they're great at sales and marketing, but if they created a crappy product, then their long-term, aspect of their business actually staying and going is going to be very, very low. And so oftentimes, if you've read or listened to Steve Jobs' biography, and if you haven't, I highly recommend it. I want to say it was 20 hours. It's pretty long, but it's an amazing look into one of the most iconic entrepreneurs of our time in the history of the world, who his goal was he was going to ding the universe because of his massive vision and how he was going to change and improve the lives of everyone on this planet. And who can argue with that? He absolutely did. And the funny thing was, when he started out in the 70s and he got together with Steve Wozniak, and they started to have this idea for an operating system for, a computer that was going to, change everything. They started out, and the key to them was they were going to create a very unique product, right? It was not going to be like anything, completely on the marketplace at that time. And at that time, you had IBM and different computer manufacturers, and the computer was just all about 100% work and no play. And Steve Jobs had this vision that the computer would be not just for work, but also for play, to create. And he lived, in that time in the 60s and 70s where there was a lot of free thought and kind of a Renaissance type awakening to art and to music. He loved music, and he loved art, and he loved creating colorful things. And I think at that time, really, and I remember my parents, they were pretty cool. They were early adopters of technology. And so in the 80s, my dad was a defense attorney in small rural Utah, but he would make the investments. We'd drive up to Salt Lake City and get a top line, very expensive computer for that day and age. But a computer, nonetheless, that there wasn't a lot of color, there wasn't a lot of graphics, there wasn't a lot of pop. Everything was managed with a keyboard and not with a mouse. And Steve Jobs and Apple really, it made that integration of adding the mouse, of adding color, of turning a computer into more than just a work thing, but something that could be entertaining and where you could bring art and music and videos and photos and try and incorporate that into what a computer could and should be. And so that was his vision. Of course, he had the iconic 1984 commercial that came out about breaking free from the changes or the chains of the Orwellian Big Brother, book that was famous for basically the government and bureaucracy and big corporations controlling everything, and Apple was going to help you break out of that, and you were going to be part of that rebel nation. And it was such an iconic commercial, and it was very controversial. And the funny thing about it was that the Apple board of directors and investors behind Apple, they wouldn't go along with it. And so Steve Jobs and Wozniak, they actually put their own money up for that, because it was like $1 million Super Bowl commercial, big time ad spend, and it really was revolutionary, and it changed the way Apple was looked at. And Apple grew and did well with some of their early computer models. And then Steve kind of lost his way a little bit, lost the confidence of the board and so forth, was kicked out of his own company. And when he comes back, and boy, he comes back with a bang, because he was wise enough to take, and he actually sells, I believe, all of his shares out of Apple, if you can believe that. So when he leaves Apple, he takes all his money, he invests it in a new computer company, and he very wisely gets one of the best assets bought ever. When George Lucas is going through a nasty divorce, Steve Jobs picks up Pixar. And he picks up Pixar, and he's able to, invest in Pixar and become the major shareholder there, keeps all the good, creative, innovative guys on, and eventually Toy Story comes out and all those Pixar films, and then eventually he's able to, sell to Disney and cash out big time, and it's a great story. But where I really want to go with this is in the 90s, when he is brought back to Apple, because Apple is on the verge of bankruptcy and complete and utter failure. They are trying to do all these different products and services and failing at 95% of them. And so Steve comes in and he whacks all these extra projects and all these extra products and services, and he tries to break it down into very simple things. And the first thing he builds is this iMac computer, and it looks completely different than all of the PCs and desktop computers of during that time. And it's very colorful, it's very artistic, just even the way it looks, it's clean. Of course, it has the mouse, and he doesn't want to have the big speakers popping out, so he tries, everything has to have a very clean look. So the first thing that you'll notice as you're learning from Steve Jobs when you're creating a unique product and service is it has to be unique. You have to stand out from the marketplace. Some of that's packaging, right? The Apple computer comes in this amazing package during that time, and obviously it's taken it to even more amazing levels since then. So there's the packaging, there's the look, there's the feel, and then for him it's this clean, beautiful simplicity, and then that leads to the iPod, right? And the iPod is this revolutionary. You know, you've got your music library in this tiny little compartment that you can put in your pocket, and it revolutionizes the music industry. And at the time where Napster and free downloads is disrupting the entire music industry, he comes up with iTunes. And so he's coming up with unique products that are so substantially different from anything else on the marketplace, but that deliver great value, that are simple to use, that are so better than the competition that Apple begins to dominate. And then the next vision he has is the iPhone. And I remember at that time, you know, we had flip phones. They were starting to get into a little bit of color, but nothing on the level of the iPhone, where videos and pictures, and you've got a camera and all of these different features that no one had ever thought to do with the phone. And so he basically takes his iPod and merges it into the iPhone. And that was revolutionary. And Apple was way ahead of everybody on that and dominated. And up until this day, they now own nearly 50% of the entire cell phone market, and they are dominating. And so at the end of the day, if you're Google or you're Facebook or even these other big mammoth tech companies, like, you have these great, phenomenal applications and so forth, but, you know, is Apple going to put you on the iPhone? And so really Apple has more power. They've got a larger market cap, and they can they're actually more of a monopoly in some ways than Facebook and Google are, if you can believe that. So again, the key to Steve Jobs creating breathtaking products: simplicity, a unique look, feel, a unique product. It revolutionizes the marketplace. You had the Walkman and different MP3 players, but the iPod is beautiful. It can store, hundreds of your favorite songs on there. And then not only that, then he incorporates video and photos and things that no one had ever thought to put together before. And so he innovates. His products are more innovational. They are more creative. They combine different things that were out there. There were different applications and devices that had videos, that had pictures, that had music, but no one had put them all together. And so that's what he's able to do. And so a very unique selling proposition. And so the keys to creating your own amazing products and services as you look to take them to the marketplace is, number one, it's awesome to be able to create that really innovative product that's completely different. But for most businesses, products, and services, you take an existing product and service and you incrementally improve it. Like, that's typically the key to creating something that's long-lasting. Now, yes, on occasion, if you can, hit it out of the park with an Apple, a Facebook, when Phil Knight came out with Nike athletic shoes, that's where you can really create something powerful. But for the most part, it is more difficult to try and create something radically different than what's out there. And if you can take an existing product or service and make incremental improvements to it, then that's where you can set yourself aside. So as I look at our own business, where we're in the business funding space, we're looking to serve startups and new business owners and entrepreneurs to help them get the funding they need to create a 7 figures empire, to join that 7 figures club. For us, it was, number one, we needed to have a very quick, accurate pre-approval process, which we do. And then we needed to be able to deliver a product that was better. For us, number one, we're going to fund a lot more clients than any bank or lender does, because they're limited to just 1 or 2 or 3 products, where we have access to a marketplace. And so with our marketplace, we can custom underwrite each client to make sure we're getting them the best funding options that exist on the marketplace and make that guarantee. And lenders and banks can't do that, right? They can't guarantee you that they're getting you the best because they're not a marketplace. We are. So that was one thing that was a unique selling proposition for us, is we can make a guarantee to get you the best funding that you qualify for and that exists on the marketplace. Most other funding companies can't do that. In fact, I haven't seen any that have. And then the next piece of the puzzle was, well, what if we had education, entrepreneur education platform that kind of came with the funding? That would set us aside, because your bank sure as hell doesn't do that, right? And so I didn't sleep for 2 months and created an entrepreneur education portal called the 7 Figures Accelerator, which teaches you the right type of entities, how to build your business plan. It gives you templates for operating agreements. And then there's a growth and technology accelerator module that teaches you about business social media pages, CRMs, key performance indicators, looking at partners or not, taking into account what kind of funding and capital your business is going to need. And then I brought in a 30-year veteran CPA to talk to us about how to save up to 15% on your taxes as a business owner. And that's one of the biggest expenses you have as a new business owner. And so learning how to master that, I mean, if you save 15% a year in your taxes, that could be $15,000 if you make $100,000 a year with your business. I mean, that's massive, massive savings, and it's crazy. Like, I'd say 60-70% of CPAs are asleep at the wheel, and they don't guide their client to the very best entity setup where they can maximize their tax savings. It's crazy. And then the next thing was, okay, well, if you're going to be a serious business owner, and really succeed at this, you need to build your business's credit score so your business is qualifying for financing and funding any SBA loan these days. You've got to have good business credit, and that means more than just good personal credit, but good business credit. So we put together a corporate credit building module to teach people and business owners how to build up their Dun & Bradstreet credit score, their business experience, and all these different things that we brought together in an entrepreneur education platform that I haven't seen done. It still hasn't. I still haven't seen anything like it. And we've had nearly 1,000 people run through it, and the comments and the feedback has been enormously positive. When suggestions are made for improvements, we take them seriously and generally will make them. And that, my friends, really put us in a unique category where other funding companies don't do that. They don't even contemplate doing anything like that. It's a wham bam fund you, thank you ma'am, and on your way. And so that's what it's about. Something unique, something that you can take something complicated and make it simple, like Steve Jobs did with his products with Apple. And when it's a service, what kind of value adds can you add to your service that set you apart from the mediocre competition? And those are the keys to building a product or service that is phenomenal. And one of my favorite authors, it's MJ DeMarco, the author of Unscripted and The Millionaire Fastlane. And I love this guy, and he talks about in his books, he talks about creating a productocracy. And a productocracy is a product that's so good, it's like a Google, it's like a Facebook, it's like an Apple, that you don't even have to advertise for it because it's so good that word of mouth spreads. Damn, this product is amazing, and people just share their word of mouth experience, and that's how a product grows. And anytime you have a product or service that's that good, then that's when you know you've created something that's going to be a long-term successful business, because your product and service is going to stand the test of time. So if you haven't read The Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco, I highly recommend you do so. And his book Unscripted is phenomenal as well. But productocracies are the key to joining the 7 Figures Club. So as you look at your product and service, how can you make it unique? How can you make it stand out from the marketplace? How can you make something that's more complicated become more simple? How can you provide and deliver more value than the competition does? And then I would say the last step, the last piece of the puzzle is to provide world-class customer service. And that's not, it's very difficult to do that, but it's not hard to deliver great customer service compared to the competition, because customer service is at an all-time low. Trying to get a live person on the phone, very difficult. Responding quickly with email and support tickets and that type of thing, that's it's not hard to be a top-tier customer service provider. So, and that's effort, that's training staff, that's creating templates to respond to commonly asked questions, and then it's listening and watching the issues and questions that pull up, and then creating great solutions so that you can actually eliminate some of those questions, and your customers will teach you. As an example, with our partner program, we were having issues with people being able to create their password and get into our training portals and our software and our funding portal to track funding deals for our funding partners. And we brought in, we just brought in an awesome partner director, Marie, and she went through it herself, and she's like, okay, we need to change it so it's in these steps and it's described this way. And since we made that change, like, that issue has gone away. And so those are the keys to creating a productocracy and joining the Seven Figures Club. So take action and think about in 2021, how can my product or service, be so better than the competition that word of mouth spreads it? And that, my friends, will be the key to dominating in 2021. Are you looking for more seven-figure secrets, content, or even how you can launch your own recession-proof business? Then check out sevenfigures.com. That's the digit 7, FIGURES.com, where we share more videos, stories, strategies, funding solutions, entrepreneurial education, and even the secret business type that's recession-proof. Thank you for listening, and if you're finding value in our podcast, please give us a 5-star and invite others to join the club.